The price of ignorance. Imagine the clock hitting 2 a.m. The world outside is silent, but your mind is a chaotic mess of what-ifs. You're lying flat on your back, staring at the shadows on your ceiling, and replaying every single second of the night like a movie director looking for a mistake. You were right there with her. The energy between you wasn't just good, it was heavy, thick, and electric like the air right before a massive summer storm breaks. You could feel it in your chest. She was laughing at things you said that weren't even that funny. When she hugged you goodbye, she didn't just give you a polite squeeze and pull away. She lingered. Her head stayed on your shoulder a beat too long. Her hands trailed down your arms slowly. And for a split second, the world stopped. Everything was lined up perfectly for you to lean in, to take the lead, and to change the dynamic forever. But instead of acting, you hesitated. You stayed stuck in your own head, paralyzed by the fear of being wrong. You were waiting for a sign that was impossible to miss, something like a giant neon billboard flashing the words "Kiss me now" in bright red lights. You wanted her to look you in the eyes and tell you exactly what she wanted in plain literal English. Because that clear, undeniable permission never came. You did nothing. You played it safe. You gave her a friendly wave, walked away, and now that moment is gone. It's a ghost. While you're staring at that ceiling, she's in her own bed, but she isn't thinking about how respectful you were. She's feeling the sting of silent rejection. She's wondering what she did wrong or why you didn't find her attractive enough to take a risk. She put herself out there in the only way she knew how, and in her eyes, you turned her down. This is the gut-wrenching reality that keeps so many men awake at night. That heavy sinking feeling in your stomach, that's the price of ignorance. It is the tax you pay for not knowing how to read the room. Most men spend their entire lives wandering through a thick fog of confusion, completely blind to the opportunities sitting right in front of them. They walk past open doors every single day, totally unaware that the invitations they're looking for are already being handed to them. The tragedy isn't a lack of interest from women. The tragedy is that most men are functionally deaf to the language of desire. They are waiting for words, but desire doesn't speak in words. It speaks in proximity, in eye contact, in the way she adjusts her hair, and in the silence between her sentences. We are here to completely kill that version of you, the version that wonders, the version that doubts, and the version that misses out. We are stripping away the social conditioning and the noise to expose the raw, unfiltered truth of how this actually works. You have to realize that when a woman wants you, she isn't going to hand you a signed contract. She is screaming her interest at you with every fiber of her being, but she's doing it through a code of subtle behaviors and psychological triggers. She is waiting for you to be the man who is sharp enough to notice and bold enough to act. From this moment on, the fog is lifting. You are no longer going to be the guy staring at the ceiling in regret. You are going to be the man who understands the language that most men don't even know exists, the art of plausible deniability. To master the game of human connection, you first have to understand the invisible emotional landscape a woman is navigating every time she interacts with you. For a woman, her social reputation is her most valuable currency. Even in our modern world, there is an ancient, lingering pressure in her subconscious that makes her terrified of being judged or labeled as too forward or easy. This is why she will almost never give you a direct, literal command like, "I want you to take me home right now." To her, that is far too risky. It leaves her vulnerable to rejection, and more importantly, it strips away her protective layer of mystery. If she says it out loud and you say no, she loses face. If she says it out loud and you say yes, she might feel judged later. To avoid this psychological trap, she uses a sophisticated tool called plausible deniability. Think of plausible deniability as her ultimate emotional safety net. It is a way for her to test the waters without ever having to jump into the deep end unprotected. When she communicates her desire, she doesn't use the front door. She uses the side entrance. She will throw out a line that carries two completely different meanings at the same time. On the surface, there is the literal meaning, the safe version that she could defend to a group of friends or even to herself if things go wrong. But underneath that surface, there is a hidden electric meaning intended strictly for you. This double-layered communication allows her to stay completely safe. If you miss the signal, or if you aren't the right guy, she can simply retreat back to the literal meaning and act like nothing happened. She can say, "Oh, I really did just want to see your guitar." Or, I actually am just cold. And her reputation remains perfectly intact. She never tried anything, so she can never fail. However, when you are the man who actually catches that signal, the entire dynamic shifts in an instant. The moment you acknowledge the hidden meaning instead of the literal one, something magical happens in her mind. She feels a sudden sharp spark of, he finally gets me. This is the exact moment when a casual conversation transforms into deep raw attraction. By decoding her subtext, you are proving to her that you are socially intelligent, observant, and calibrated. You are showing her that you understand the unspoken rules of the game, which makes her feel incredibly safe and seen. She no longer has to do the heavy lifting or take the social risk because you have stepped up to lead the interaction. This shared understanding, this secret language spoken between the two of you while the rest of the world only hears the literal words, is the essential precursor to physical intimacy. You must become the man who ignores the noise and listens to the frequency. Most men are stuck on the surface, responding only to the text of what a woman says. They hear, I'm tired, and they think about sleep. They hear, it's loud, and they think about the volume. But the high-value man listens to the subtext. He looks for the intention behind the words. He understands that her safe phrases are actually invitations wrapped in a protective coating. When you stop taking her words at face value and start responding to the emotion and the desire underneath them, you stop being a confused spectator and start being the director of the scene. You become the person who can navigate her world with confidence, making it easy for her to let her guard down and follow your lead. The language of the subconscious signal number 1, the environmental plea. Imagine you're standing in a crowded high-energy venue. The music is thumping, lights are flashing, and the air is thick with the noise of 100 different conversations. In the middle of all this chaos, she doesn't pull away. Instead, she moves closer. She steps deep into your personal space, invading your bubble until her shoulder is brushing yours and her lips are just inches from your ear. She whispers, it's so loud in here. Or, I can't hear a word you're saying. Now, if you're an average guy, you might take that at face value. You might nod like a bobblehead and shout back, yeah, it really is loud. If you do that, you have completely failed the vibe check. You need to realize this has absolutely nothing to do with decibel levels or the acoustics of the room. This is a plea for intimacy. Emotionally, she is feeling disconnected from you because of the crowd and the noise. She is tired of sharing you with the rest of the world. She is throwing out a line hoping you will be the man to take charge and isolate her. She wants to be in a private bubble where the rest of the world disappears and it's just the two of you. When she complains about the noise, she is actually saying, take me somewhere where we can actually be together. The moment you say, you're right, let's get out of here and go somewhere quiet, you will see her eyes light up with instant relief. She isn't running away from the party. She is running toward the connection she's building with you. Signal number 2, the time expansion. You've reached that point in the night where the party is clearly winding down or the date is officially over. Logically, the next step is for everyone to go home, set their alarms, and go to sleep. But as you're walking her to her car or standing outside the venue, she lingers. She might check a notification on her phone and then immediately shove it back into her pocket, ignoring the rest of the world just to stay in your presence for 5 more minutes. Then she drops the line, I'm not even tired yet. Listen very closely to the emotion behind those words because that is the sound of longing. She is literally fighting against the end of the interaction. Being near you is giving her a massive dopamine hit, and she isn't ready for that feeling to stop. In the world of high-level social dynamics, I'm not tired is the universal code for I have energy for something else. It is a direct challenge and a wide open invitation for you to extend the night. If you respond with a boring, me neither, well, see you later, the energy dies right there on the sidewalk. You have to bridge the gap. This is your cue to lead her to the next phase. Say, I'm not tired either. Come back to my place. I have a bottle of wine you need to try. Or, let's keep this going at my spot. By doing this, you are rewarding her investment. If you send her home after she tells you she isn't tired, she won't think you're a gentleman. She will feel rejected and wonder why you didn't want her enough to keep the night alive. Signal number 3, the touch invitation. Touch is the electric current that officially fries the friendship circuit and turns it into a romance. The problem is that most women are socially conditioned not to initiate touch aggressively. Instead, they will create a scenario where it is logical for you to touch them. Enter the classic line, "My hands are so cold," or "I'm freezing." This is not a weather report, and she doesn't want you to check the thermostat. This is a biological distress signal designed to trigger your masculine protective instinct. She is making herself physically vulnerable specifically so you can fix the problem. If you're the guy who tells her to put on her coat or suggests she buy better gloves, you've completely missed the point. She is offering you her hand on a silver platter. She wants skin-to-skin contact. She wants to feel your warmth and your strength. When you take her hands in yours to warm them up or wrap your arm around her to shield her from the cold, you have officially crossed the line from just talking to actually feeling. This is exactly where the arousal spikes. You are providing the masculine solution to her feminine vulnerability, and that ancient dynamic is one of the most powerful attraction builders in existence. Signal number 4, the trouble reframe. Every so often, a woman will look you dead in the eye with a playful smirk and say, "You look like trouble," or "I feel like you're a bad influence." Most low-value men hear this and immediately get defensive. They start backpedaling, trying to prove they are a nice guy who volunteers at animal shelters and calls his mom every Sunday. Do not fall into this trap. When a woman calls you trouble, it is one of the highest compliments she can give your sexual market value. It means she perceives you as dangerous, unpredictable, and exciting. She is telling you that you are stimulating the primitive, adventurous part of her brain that is tired of safe and boring men. She wants the rush of adrenaline that comes with being around someone she can't quite control. She is flirting with the idea of doing something naughty and is already preparing the excuse to blame it on your influence. She wants to be able to tell herself later, "I couldn't help it. He was just such a bad influence." Your job is to lean into that frame. Smirk back, hold the eye contact, and say, "You have no idea," or "Only the best kind of trouble." By accepting the role of the bad influence, you are giving her the psychological permission she needs to let go and enjoy the adventure. Signal number 5, the logistical feasibility study. When the conversation shifts and she starts asking questions like, "Do you live alone?" or "What's your roommate situation like?" or even "Do you have a dog?" understand that she isn't conducting a census. She isn't interested in your rent price or your cleaning habits. She is running a feasibility check. In her mind, she is already visualizing the what-if scenario of going back to your place. She is gathering data to see if it's a mission she can actually pull off. Is there privacy? Are there obstacles? Is it a safe environment? If you give a vague or awkward answer, you create a mental hurdle for her. Instead, you need to sell the venue. Don't just say, "Yeah, I have an apartment." Say, "Yeah, I've got a great spot downtown. The view of the city is incredible at night. You really have to see it." You are painting a picture and making the destination enticing. If she asks about a pet, use it as a bridge. "Yeah, I have a dog. He's a total character. You should come meet him." She is handing you the key to the next location. All you have to do is show her the way. If she wasn't considering going home with you, the details of your living situation would be completely irrelevant to her. The fact that she's asking means the mission is already being planned in her head. Signal number 6, the pheromone pull. We are biological creatures, and smell is the most primal sense we have. It is linked directly to the limbic system, the emotional and ancient part of the brain that bypasses logic entirely. If you are in the middle of a hug and she buries her face in your neck for a second, or if she gets close and whispers, "You smell so good," or "What cologne is that?" the game is essentially over. She is intoxicated by you. This isn't just about a nice scent. Her body is physically reacting to your genetic makeup and your pheromones. She is checking for biological compatibility on a subconscious level, and you just passed the test with flying colors. But look at the behavior required for her to make that comment. She has to be deep in your intimate space. She is literally inhaling you. This is an invitation for you to escalate. Don't be the dork who starts listing the brand name and the price of the fragrance. Just accept the compliment, pull her slightly closer, and use that proximity to move the interaction forward. If she's sniffing your neck, she's already halfway to kissing it. This is a green light, so bright it's blinding. Stand your ground and let her take you in. Signal number 7, the player qualification. Finally, you have the classic player test. She might look at you skeptically and say, "I bet you say that to all the girls," or "You're such a player, aren't you?" The amateur male hears this as an accusation and starts pleading his innocence. trying to convince her he's a monk. The high-value man knows better. This is a pre-selection test. Women are naturally attracted to men who are desired by other women. If she thought you were a loser with zero options, she wouldn't bother calling you a player. She would just find you boring. By labeling you a player, she is acknowledging that you have high status and that you clearly know how to handle yourself around women. She is worried that you might win and then leave, but she is also incredibly intrigued. It's a defense mechanism to protect her ego. She is basically saying, I know you're good at this, so if I fall for you, it's because you're a pro, not because I'm weak. Do not try to defend your honor. Maintain your frame, smirk, and say, I have my moments. Or, only when I meet someone who can keep up. Keep the mystery alive. The fact that she views you as a man with options makes you 100 times more attractive. She wants to be the one woman special enough to capture a player's attention for the night. Let her try to win you over. The finish line, anti-slut defense. This is the moment where most men fail. You are inches away from the finish line. The chemistry is thick enough to cut with a knife and things are heating up rapidly. Then, out of nowhere, she drops a bombshell. We shouldn't be doing this. Or this is such a bad idea. For the amateur, this feels like a brick wall. He panics, he overthinks, and he immediately pulls away, apologizing for something he hasn't even done yet. He assumes no means stop forever, and by doing so, he kills the vibe, makes the situation awkward, and ironically makes her feel even more self-conscious. But the expert understands that this isn't necessarily a stop sign. It's a psychological speed bump known as the anti-slut defense, ASD. You have to realize that at this very second, her logical brain is engaged in a violent civil war with her emotional desire. She wants you. Her body is present. Her chemistry is spiking, but she is terrified of the social consequences. She is scared of being judged by her friends, by society, or even by you. She is fighting years of social conditioning that tells her she needs to be difficult or proper. When she says it's a bad idea, she is actually looking for you to be the rock. She is handing you the responsibility for the situation because she doesn't want to carry the weight of the decision herself. She needs you to be the one with the certainty that she currently lacks. If you get flustered, start arguing, or try to use logic to convince her why it is a good idea, you've already lost. You cannot argue someone into attraction. Instead, you must override her logical panic with your masculine composure. Your job is to be the calm in her emotional storm. When you look her directly in the eyes, maintain a relaxed posture, and say with absolute conviction, it's fine. Just relax. You are essentially telling her subconscious that you are in control and that she is safe with you. You aren't dismissing her. You are subduing her anxiety.